So I did originally plan to do a worst animated movie list, but then I realized that I don't hate enough films with a passion to make that a full list. However, there was one movie that needed more than just a 2-minute discussion. This movie was so awful that it deserves its own video. This movie is 2005's Doogal. Doogal is a film I not only grew up with, but feared throughout my childhood. I only just got over my fear of it 3 years ago, and when I finally rewatched it, I felt nothing but disappointment. And I'm not the only one. Everyone seems to think this movie is bad, and there are several videos explaining why this movie feels so hard. But I, who grew up with the film, would like to give my own take on it and would explain my own personal opinion on this movie. Also, I won't be comparing this film to the original UK release, mainly because I've never seen it and don't intend on to anytime soon. Also because I want to judge Doogal as a movie, not a dub. Get ready because I'm going to talk about why Doogal is a horrible movie. Let's go. Hypothetically, the voice acting in Doogal should be great. I mean, we got Chevy Chase, Jon Stewart, Judi Dench, Jimmy Fallon, Whoopi Goldberg, and the list goes on. Also, Butch Hartman is a producer for this, but fuck Butch Hartman. Anyways, I know the actors were only chosen to sell to parents who recognize the actors, but they chose some good actors for this movie. However, throughout this movie, it feels like the actors are putting it in to get a quick buck. It's like they didn't care about this film at all, but just didn't have anything better to do. The only actors that did an okay job were the ones that weren't recast, and Jon Stewart as the bad would have been okay if it weren't for the lines he was given. And speaking of lines, let's talk jokes. The jokes in Doogal are one of its worst aspects, and that's saying something. It just consists of excessive pop culture references and a farting moose, and once in a while, a comparison of Doogal's love for candy to an actual drug addiction. But for this segment, I'd like to focus on the pop culture references. Pop culture references can be done well if timed right. Doogal not only types in its pop culture references terribly, but shoves one in every millisecond. The movie wants to appeal to American audiences so badly it sacrifices its own humor in the process. Don't believe me? This is a screenshot here. It's an actual scene in the movie. An action scene, mind you. My point only gets proven from here. Also, bringing it up again, Doogal's love for candy gets treated as if it's an actual addiction, and I don't get why the writers found that funny. I know Doogal caused the main conflict of the film because he was trying to get his paws on some sweets, but should that be compared to an actual real-life addiction? Okay, moving on. When the characters aren't constantly making criminally unfunny references, they are acting like some of the most unlikable and annoying characters I have ever witnessed in cinematic history. During the entire runtime, everybody's acting like a dick to each other, and it makes it really hard to get invested in them. Doogal especially is terrible in this movie, and he's the protagonist that we're supposed to care the most about. The entire time, he's nothing but a selfish prick who only cares about himself, candy, and his owner, Florence. He's the one who caused the conflict of the movie and learns nothing by the end. There's also a moose who only exists to make fart jokes, and a whole other cast of characters who are forgettable as sin. The only characters who I thought were okay were Zedeby and Sam. Florence I can also tolerate, but she's barely in the movie, so we're left with these completely worthless characters I dislike. Doogal is hands down one of the worst animated films I've seen in my life. It is a film that didn't need to exist and should have stayed in the UK where it belongs. It is charmless and unfunny in every sense of the word. It is the legacy Harvey Weinstein deserves. It has a boring plot, cringe-worthy humor, mediocre animation, unlikable characters, and dull voice acting from actors who I know can do better. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Lil Me was right to have feared this film. Because while Doogal isn't the traumatizing experience I thought it once was, it is still a worthless experience I gained nothing from watching. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got some unfinished business with another animated film from my childhood. A film I have much more fond memories of, and a movie that many consider to be one of the worst from Disney. That's right, Chicken Little. I'm after you next.